Well, obviously another hard fought, tough game, but a disappointing loss at the end of the day. Very evenly fought game. I mean, we had 5 hits, they had 4. They scratched out 3 runs, and we couldn't. Our starting pitcher was phenomenal. Obviously, he deserved better fate than what he got. Landon was just amazingly good again, and hopefully he'll keep pitching like this the rest of the year. We got some young players that need to learn how to win games, and I keep telling them, that the difference between winning and losing in this league is just so razor thin. You can look at the game. There was 2 innings that really were a microcosm of the game. If you look at the bottom of the first inning, they made an error. We ended up having runners on first and third, nobody out, and we didn't take advantage of it. We had a strikeout with nobody out, and then Gavin Dugas just hit that ball extremely hard, and it was just bad luck. It was right at the shortstop, and they turned the double play. I wish I had started the runner on the 2-0 count to stay out of the double play. I thought strongly about doing that, but I was a little bit worried because their starting pitcher, Bednar, was throwing a lot of sliders already in the first inning, much more than we had anticipated him throwing. And I was afraid out of respect for Gavin in that situation, he might throw him another slider and Gavin might swing through it. And, then we throw him out at second base. And so I hesitated, and he challenged him with the fastball instead, and Gavin hit it hard and right at the shortstop, and they turned the double play. But, we didn't take advantage of the opportunity. And then later on in the 5th inning, when we made an error and moved the runner to third base, their 9-hole hitter hit the sacrifice fly to give them a run. So, it was kind of a microcosm of the game. They took advantage of the opportunity that we did not take advantage of. I feel for our kids because they're really trying, but we're really up against a tough pitching staff. These guys are really good arms. They're really good prospects. And, they're leading the SEC in earned run average for a reason. You can see that they've got guys, that really are really good. And, sometimes I thought we really battled hard. This last kid that pitched for them, Sims, has been striking everybody out. He had like 30 strikeouts in 11 innings. And Dylan Cruz goes up there and smokes one up the middle. And, we had a chance, and, I just had visions of Gavin Dugas getting into one and hitting a 3-run homer there, and us closing out in the 9th inning. But kid made a good pitch. He threw an off-speed pitch, and Gavin just kind of got out in front of it a little bit and grounded out to third base. I thought Gavin had a 2-run homer earlier in the game, and I think the wind kept the ball in the ballpark. So it was just, tough loss for us, and we'll have to turn the page.
Coach David from Rivals. My question is about Hayden's health right now. And the reason I'm asking that is the 5th inning with runners on first and second, you stayed with Milazzo. Was it because you didn't think he could come in and catch the rest of the game?
No, he couldn't catch. He's on his way coming back from an elbow injury called a stress reaction. It's like short of a stress fracture, but it's been, few months of rehabilitation, and he's got the green light to play. But he caught 4 innings against Southeastern earlier this week, and 2 days after he caught, he was still extremely sore just from catching 4 innings. And he only threw 2 balls hard during the course of the game. He didn't even take pregame infield, outfield, and in between innings when he, makes the throw to second base, he was just lobbing the ball down there. He had to make 2 throws during the game. And the next 2 days, his arm was extremely sore. So I couldn't catch him yesterday. And I couldn't catch him 9 innings. I didn't think he could catch 9 innings, but we put him in the game the last 4 innings. And then today he was really sore again. So we'll see how he feels tomorrow, whether or not we can put him in. Milazzo made a couple of really great throws today and kept the game close for us, but obviously at times he struggles with the bat, and Hayden would be an upgrade offensively, but I'm just concerned about the kid's health, and also them taking advantage of his inability to throw the ball. So we're kind of have our hands tied behind our back a little bit with his situation right now.
Coach, I know you said earlier that these kids just don't know how to win, but like, what is it specifically, do you think? Do you think that the young group is just still in awe about playing SEC baseball? I mean, do you think this is just first series jitters and we'll be fine after this?
Well, Matt, like, for example, okay, one of the things that our hitting coach, Eddie Smith, preaches constantly to our hitters is when you come up with a runner at third base and less than 2 outs, you can't imagine that the pitcher, especially if you're considered one of the better hitters on the team, you can't imagine that the pitcher is just going to lay a fastball down the middle to you. He's going to try to make his best pitches to you to try to pitch out of that situation. And so you have to be ready to hit anything. And you can't just look for a perfect pitch, because he's probably not going to give you a perfect pitch, but you don't need a perfect pitch. You're not trying to hit a 3-run homer. You just need to hit a fly ball. Heck, with nobody out, even if you hit a weak ground ball in the infield, even if they turn a double play, you still get a run in for your team. But in Cade's situation, he goes up and takes the first 2 pitches, both breaking balls that were strikes. And I think the enormity of playing in an SEC game for the first time is hard for a kid to take that kind of coaching and practice into the bright lights of the SEC games. That's what maybe you're asking me about, Matt, and I think in time they learn those things. If you don't ever get 2 strikes on you in that situation, then you can't strike out. So you try to hit early in the count, put the ball in play, get us the run. Don't worry about hitting a home run. Don't worry about hitting a ball in the gap. Just get a fly ball, get a weak ground ball, get the run. It's called situational hitting. But without having the experience against these caliber of teams, in the SEC with the spotlight and so forth, they sometimes have to learn through short-term failures. And so, Cade will learn from that situation. Hopefully the next time he'll recognize it and be better and take advantage of it. You don't get many situations like we had there in the first inning against a good pitcher. And we just didn't take advantage of it in that certain situation. So I think that's what I'm talking about when, they have to learn how to take advantage of those kinds of situations.
That just, to me, and correct me if I'm wrong, is it fair to say pressing, trying to do too much, pressing, trying to step out, do too much that you're even capable of doing?
I think sometimes it's pressing, Matt. I'm not sure that was pressing. I think that was more just not recognizing the situation because you haven't been in the situation yet. Last year he was a freshman, but we didn't play any SEC games. So this is the first time of going through these kind of games for him. And, there's something different about the atmosphere of an SEC game. The whole thing is different. And I think he'll learn. And, now you worry about him pressing because, all of a sudden we've lost the first 2 games of a weekend series and everybody wants to do more. So I got to be careful that they don't start pressing.
Hey, Coach.
One last question. This is the last question.
Coach, I know you've talked about how good Mississippi State's pitching is. I guess generally the thinking is get the starter out and then have some success against the bullpen. But from what I understand, the guys out of the bullpen, they're even tougher than the starters. Is that kind of the way it is?
They really got a deep staff. They have 16 pitchers on their active roster, and they have some guys they didn't even put on their roster that have unbelievable numbers. Kind of shocks me that they're not even on their active roster this weekend. So we knew that they had these kind of caliber of pitchers. And, when you're facing a staff like that, you just can't imagine scoring a lot of runs. And so, one error, one walk to a leadoff batter, one little thing here or there that maybe is hidden in another game when you can score a half a dozen runs just takes on added importance and added influence in a game where you're up against a pitching staff like this. So this is what I mean about kids having to learn to win, you know, and it's my job to teach them to do these things. And they will in time, you know. It just sometimes you have to go through the growing process, and you hate to waste outstanding pitching performances like we had tonight, you know, during the learning process. Okay, I got to go do the radio show. Sorry, everybody.
All right, y'all can start with questions for Dylan.
Dylan, David from Rivals, it's 2 games where the offense is starting to struggle. You know, do you worry about where this team, tell me where this team's head's at? It's a very young team, and it seems like y'all are hitting that first wall of adversity this season. Just tell me where this team's head's at right now.
I mean, I feel like it's pretty stable right now. I mean, yeah, we're gonna face some adversity right now. Like you said, it's a very young team, and we haven't faced these kind of guys yet. But I know these guys are really good players, and I know once things start coming together, you know, putting some hits together and doing things we should be doing, then it'll all come together, and we'll be winning some ball games.
Talk about the transition for you from the jump. Have you seen the jump, and is it evident to you of pre-conference to SEC's a whole nother ball game?
Yeah, I mean, definitely the pitching's a lot different for sure. But I mean, when you have, you know, when you're a grinder up there, like most of us, like when you go up there and you're fighting for every single pitch, then nothing's really different. But I mean, definitely the pitching's you know, better. The off speed's better. The fastball's got more life to it. But like I said earlier, it's gonna all come together.
Dylan, Paul, how much has Paul talked to you all over the last few days, or really just at all recently, about like how close the margin for error was going to be once y'all got into the SEC? And is that kind of what's showing up now over the last couple of games?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we're not doing things we should be doing. We're leaving runners on at times when we really shouldn't be doing. We're not really doing the little things as a team, you know, getting guys over, getting hits when we should be getting hits. But it's going to come together here soon, and you know, we're just going to come out tomorrow and win a ball game.
Any more questions for Dylan? Thank y'all. Landon's up next, and then that'll be all. Thank you. All right, y'all can start with questions for Landon.
Hey, Landon, this is Glenn West here. You know, it seemed like even tonight, whenever you got into like a little bit of a sticky situation, you were still able to kind of pitch through it and get out of it. I mean, just, you know, it wasn't kind of, I guess, maybe your typical dominant fashion that we've seen maybe throughout these first 4 games, but just talk a little bit about how, you know, this kind of a start can help and impact you throughout the season.
Yeah, well, it's looking back at it, you know, I mean, it's all about making big pitches in big situations, you know, and you know, unfortunately that leadoff walk came around the score, and you know, it came back to haunt me, and you know, and that's all it took tonight. But you know, fastball command wasn't, you know, outstanding. And those guys are tough to punch out. They're a really good, you know, very disciplined team, and they showed that. And but you know, it's not about making big pitches when no one's on base. You know, how do you make pitches? You know, can you rise to the occasion when you know there are people in scoring position? And luckily I was able to do that tonight.
Landon, how much has Paul talked about recently the importance of, doing the little things in these SEC games, and how that throughout the season, not just these first two, it's really going to come down to that, and how in the last two games y'all haven't been able to do that, and that's why sort of determined the outcome like that.
Yeah, he's really been honest about that. For like the example I just gave, a leadoff walk, and then an error happens, and that's how quickly the game can turn. And that's all it takes. Close pitch here, close pitch there. You get a call, you don't. And that's how it goes. That's how little that's the small things that it takes, to either come out on top or fall like we did today. And the game is, because they say it's a game of inches for a reason. That's all it takes.
How much do you feel like this is a young team still trying to figure that out and still getting used to that?
No, we're what, 20 games in, somewhere around there. So, we can't use that excuse anymore. That's, we can't. We're 20 games in. We've seen really good arms. We're not using that as an excuse anymore. We're, yes, there are many places that we can get better, but there's also many places that we've done extremely well in. And I think once we can close that gap between what we've done well and what we haven't, I think that's when we're really going to hit our stride. And, Coach hit on today that there's still 28 games left in SEC play. So, that we're only 2 games in, and it's still a long season. We still have 28 more games and then the SEC tournament, so but yeah, we're not using that excuse that, it's a young lineup, or, we've got some young guys. We're not using that excuse. There are no excuses, so you come in and you get the job done, or you don't, so, and that's all it is.
Any more questions for Landon? Thank you all.